Hi everyone, Dr. Richard Tran here from Color Chiropractic. I am not in Bellingham, Washington. I am actually in Moab, Utah with my good friend, brother-in-law, and fellow colleague, Dr. Victor Chan. So I'd like to introduce him in just a second, but you know, each and every month we're doing these different interviews of different people that I find really interesting in terms of how their perspective actually is and what they might have to share. So anyway, Dr. Victor Chen is a naturopathic doctor, and he's been in practice for over 20 years in general practice, but also dealing with sports medicine and in particular with men's health. So welcome, Dr. Chen.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Yeah, no problem. Well, this issue of men's health, let's start off, let's let them know a little bit about you, how you've evolved in terms of your naturopathic practice, and what kind of inspired you more to pursue men's health.
Yeah. Well, as you mentioned, I've been in practice for over 20 years, and it's been a general family practice, but it's had a special focus on sports and pain medicine, specifically injection therapies such as prolotherapy and platelet-rich plasma injections. And so during that time, my practice, like most people's practices, evolve. And now I have my own self-interest in preserving my own health as I'm approaching 50. And noticing that a lot of my patients who are kind of in that same stage of life and in that same boat, they're looking at their health as men and looking for what sometimes I would consider to be the easy way out or the magic pill. And so it really got me to thinking that, you know what, like a lot of men are needing solutions, and it's not really out there. So I thought I'd step up and focus on that.
Yeah, it's really interesting when we were talking about that this morning with the YouTube generation. Even myself, it's like we want that quick fix solution, but especially when it comes to health or even this particular issue, it's not only just not just some quick fix, but it's also a matter of kind of knowing where you are and where you're going step by step, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, you can say that about all aspects of health, but again, specifically when it comes to men's health, and even more specifically when it comes to testosterone. What really bothered me is that there's I would almost say there's almost a notion out there that testosterone is a magic pill, and that it solves all. And that the solution to almost all men's health ills would be to take testosterone replacement. And, there's a time and a place for everything. But I think that in the majority of the cases where I was talking to my patients, a lot of the men didn't even understand why their testosterone was low in the first place. Some of them didn't even care to understand why it was low, because they just had this idea that, well, all you need to do is take testosterone replacement therapy and it just cancels everything out.
Right, I can see that. And and the thing is that if they end up doing that, what are some of the different effects that can come into play when they, is it maybe even dependent on age, but I guess we don't necessarily need to go there just yet. It's like, is there a disadvantage to just going right to the solution?
Specifically, I mean, you talk about what are the risks. I think the biggest risk is that, you're really at a fork in the road. If you choose to take the testosterone replacement therapy route, you're essentially running the risk of forcing your body to a path where it will not produce any of its own testosterone, and you will have to actually continue to replace testosterone potentially for the rest of your life.
You've come up with what is said more like 5 different ways to be able to boost your testosterone levels more naturally. And as a result, being able to affect things like sex drive and like lean muscle mass and even increasing energy. So, can you go into those factors?
So the 5 categories of factors that I've really focused on are part of a testosterone game plan. They include eliminating toxicity, specifically to endocrine disrupting chemicals, improving your nutrition, and making sure that you have the building blocks to be able to produce testosterone, getting adequate sleep, because sleep is the time when your body is producing anabolic hormones such as growth hormone and testosterone, getting proper exercise,
Okay.
because testosterone and muscle mass, they kind of have a cyclical relationship. You need testosterone to produce muscle mass, but the more muscle mass you have, the easier it is to produce testosterone.
Mm-hmm.
And then finally, it's more of a what I would call a psychological sort of factor, which is stress management and your mental space. Like where's your mindset at? Because a lot of times, in particular in the North American sort of context, we're in a rat race. We're all stressed out. We're so hyper focused on a lot of things that cause us to not be able to allow your body to produce healthy, optimal levels of testosterone. Toxicity,
Okay.
and this was actually the main focus of Dr. Shanna Swan's book. She wrote a book called Countdown, where she really made a very compelling case for why this is a huge issue. And her focus was more specifically on reduction in sperm counts and motility. And what she identified was that actually the average male sperm count has decreased by over 50% within only 40 years. So that's about 2 generations. And while her specific focus was on sperm count and motility, that's quite correlated with testosterone levels. So if sperm counts are dropping and motility is dropping, testosterone's also dropping. And her main thesis there is that decline is so rapid that it cannot just be a genetic change. It has to be more of an environmental change. And she really focused on endocrine disrupting chemicals in our environment, in our foods, that are really a main culprit of this decline.
What are some of the nuggets of hormone disrupting chemicals?
Yeah, well, I think like she really focuses a lot on the phthalates. The phthalates are chemicals that have crept into almost every aspect of our daily lives, whether it's to soften certain plastics or even in our personal care products like shampoos and colognes and aftershaves. They've just become so abundant. And again, this is not only an issue for men, because actually one of the things that she specifically describes in her book is that pregnant women, if they actually get exposure to these endocrine disrupting chemicals at a very critical time during the fetal development, actually that kind of makes that's a game changer for that male baby's future in terms of testosterone and sperm production.
Okay. Does she go in the opposite direction in terms of, let's just say, foods that could increase sperm count?
Yeah, I think I'm not sure about Dr. Swan specifically. I mean, she definitely does outline a path out of this deep dark hole in terms of changing your lifestyle with regards to limiting your exposure to those endocrine disrupting chemicals. But nutrition, as you alluded to, is definitely the flip side of it. On one end, you want to limit your exposure to what your body has too much of, and then on the other side you want to increase the things that your body doesn't have enough of, specifically enough of the building blocks to build testosterone because, for example, testosterone's a steroid hormone. Steroid hormones are all made from a backbone of cholesterol.
Mm-hmm.
So if you don't have enough production of those good cholesterols, it's very hard, or well, essentially it's not possible to produce testosterone.
Mm-hmm.
And so a lot of that is related to diet and nutrition. And in terms of nutrition and diet, I think like the testosterone story is more about like avoiding eating a lot of things that are kind of abundant in men's diets these days. Another big one is alcohol. Too much alcohol consumption. And I'm not here to say that I don't consume alcohol. I enjoy alcohol, but very, very sort of a typical guy's thing is to drink beer, and beer is really in many cases quite estrogenic. Hops is actually one of the herbs that is really estrogenic, and so if somebody consumes a lot of beer on a regular basis, again, you're actually working against your body's ability to produce testosterone, and a lot of guys don't know this.
When you're talking about sleep, is it as simple as being able to get adequate sleep?
I think that sleep is one of those things that is as much as we know it's important, I think we still underestimate how important it is. And again, I think that many of the things that I talk about in this testosterone game plan have to do with trying to actually recognize that physiologically the human body is still quite primitive. It was designed for a time when the sun goes up and the sun goes down. But of course, we now live in a world with LED lights and 24/7 delivery, and people working night shift and all these kinds of things. And I think when it comes to sleep in particular, I know that people are going to be watching this on some kind of platform, on some kind of screen, hopefully not too late. Because like these things definitely have an impact. And so when it comes to sleep, I think it's just doesn't have to be complicated, but good sleep hygiene, getting enough adequate sleep, because actually, again, the anabolic hormones like growth hormone and testosterone, they're primarily produced during sleep.
It's important. Okay, good. And exercise. There's a lot of different places you can go with exercise. Is it a burst workout, or is it increasing your aerobic base? What's your take?
I think like there's going to be different people with different opinions, but one thing is clear is that actually, again, muscle mass and testosterone have kind of a cyclical relationship. You need testosterone to help produce lean muscle mass, but the more lean muscle mass, the easier it is to produce more testosterone.
Interesting.
So specifically, I want guys to lift heavy things. I want guys to lift heavy things. So, what I mean by that is like some kind of weight resistance training, including some of your larger muscle groups. So the legs, the back, the chest. Other types of exercise, they're better for a lot of different things. Say, for example, long distance running. But long distance running is really great for cardiovascular exercise. However, it's a bit of a catabolic type of an activity, and you can tell by even the body types of which types of bodies are really well suited to long distance running. It looks different. That body looks quite different than somebody like a body type that's good at like lifting.
Well, what about that psychological aspect? What do you think about that?
I think this is actually where it all stemmed from. Like this was really the genesis of my focus and my sort of like motivation to really try and help guys to refocus their efforts, because a lot of guys, honestly, they come to me because they're afraid. They're in fear that their testosterone is so low, they need to do something about it right now, instant. And, the irony of that is that actually, when you are very stressed and your cortisol levels are very high, your cortisol being high creates a cascade of effects that we know. But high cortisol makes sleep less, adequate, right?
Yeah.
Makes sleep more. You're more easy to wake up at night. Not getting that deep sleep, so that affects the sleep part of your testosterone production. But also, high cortisol also increases your insulin resistance, and higher insulin actually suppresses testosterone.
Gotcha.
Yeah, and that's why you can see actually when I have typically a 50 to 60-year-old male coming in. He's got a little extra weight around the midsection. He likes to have his beers, and he's coming in, but his main concern is, I think my testosterone's low. But when it comes to that whole mindset piece, we have to be able to go back to the idea that when the caveman, when the sun went down, caveman went to sleep.
Yeah.
That's how we're designed. That's how we are at our best.
So, Victor, in regards to this testosterone game plan that you're talking about, what do you think are some of the best resources to get them to help people seeing this to be able to get to know what's part of that plan for them, or how to maybe even get more contact with you?
Yeah. Well, you know what? The good news is that it's not complicated. Okay, like there's a lot of kind of ideas out there that, I have to take TRT, or I have to take testosterone replacement, or even ED pills, right? That's kind of their solution, because it's too hard to fix everything that's wrong. It's not. It just takes commitment, right? And it takes some discipline. But the thing is like when you're on this testosterone game plan, yes, I do believe that it's inevitable that your own testosterone production will improve, but so will so many other things, because actually these are the things that are the way that your body was meant to live. These are the things that your body needs. And so if people need more resources, absolutely, they can contact me. My own personal website is just drvictorchan.com, so drvictorchan.com, and my contact information is on there. But I really encourage people not to think that they have to do everything overnight. It's not like you have to change everything overnight, but you want to make those little shifts and move yourself towards the direction that you want to be heading in. So, avoiding those chemicals in your personal care products, eating whole foods and reducing sugar and alcohol, doing some kind of exercise, getting to sleep on time, putting away the screen, the phones, and really practicing some amount of gratitude and being able to actually be in touch with what's real and not stressing so much about things that actually may never happen.
Yeah.
Hi everyone. If you like what you saw, please give it a thumbs up, leave a comment, feel free to share, and subscribe to our YouTube station. If you have any questions or suggestions, we appreciate it. Just email us at info@colorchiropractic.com. And if you want to know more about our practice, go to colorchiropractic.com. We are Color Chiropractic, where healing is achieved through personalized care and collaboration.